The Netherlands will send the remainder of the 24 F-16 fighter jets it had promised to Ukraine on May 26, Dutch Defense Minister Ruben Brekelmans said on the Dutch broadcaster WNL. Ukraine received its first F-16 jets from the Netherlands and Denmark in 2024. The US-made fourth-generation fighter jets have been deployed to bolster Ukraine's Sky Shield and help repel Russian aerial attacks. We are also training pilots and technicians and sharing our military doctrines, so that Ukraine can build a modern armed force that matches that of the NATO member states, Brekelmans said on air. Dutch Defense Ministry confirmed the shipment of the final batch of 6 of F-16 fighter jets bound for Ukraine. It is a nostalgic moment, because the F-16s were so central to our Air Force for decades. But now that we are saying goodbye after the transition to F-35s, I could not have thought of a better destination than Ukraine. Because of the daily Russian airstrikes, the F-16s are of vital importance to Ukraine. It enables them to keep Russian aggression at bay for us too. They have already saved lives, the minister said. The F-16s have a better overview of the battlefield and a higher chance of survival than the outdated Soviet aircraft that the Ukrainian Air Force flew. The Dutch Ministry of Defense emphasizes that the transfer of F-16s does not mean the end of the country's participation in the fighter jet coalition, which it leads together with Denmark and the United States. Apart from the Dutch aircraft, Ukraine has been promised 19 F-16s by Denmark, 30 by Belgium, and at least 6 from Norway. European nations have agreed to supply aircraft to help modernize the Ukrainian Air Force as they themselves transition to more advanced F-35 fighter jets. The F-16 aircraft are being provided within the framework of the International Fighter Jet Coalition, with some partners contributing training and technical support.
Putin's army has eliminated the Ukrainian enclave southwest of Toretsk after a 4-month offensive. The enemy's main goal in this section of the front is to reach Konstantinovka. Geolocated footage from May the 25th showed the advance of the Russian armed forces in central Zaria and northern Romanovka. Analysts from the Institute for the Study of War have voiced the situation on the battlefield in this section of the front. The source writes that Putin's army may have occupied Staraya Nikolaevka and Natovka and also captured fields south of Romanovka. The press service of the Russian Defense Ministry has already reported on the occupation of Romanovka. Russian war correspondents write that the battles on this section of the front are being conducted by units of the 68th Tank Regiment of the Russian Federation. One of the Z publics wrote that the Ukrainian armed forces tried to counterattack in the Romanovka area. Analysts estimate that Putin's army captured 65 kilometers squared of territory during the battles for Romanovka and Zaria. The Russian armed forces stepped up attacks in the area in early February 2025 and began a concerted effort to eliminate Ukrainian positions in the enclave south of Romanovka in late April 2025. To accomplish this task, the Kremlin had to redeploy 2 divisions of the 8th Combined Arms Army from the Kuryakovsky direction. However, Russian troops are having difficulty advancing in this area despite the fact that they are apparently prioritizing this sector of the front line and reinforcing it in early 2025. Let us recall that Z-War correspondents are calling on Putin to stop the war since the situation on the battlefield has reached a dead end. Russian Z blogger Maxim Kalashnikov, having returned from a business trip to the border with the Sumy region of Ukraine, published a revealing confession. Soldiers fighting on the front lines do not see the point in the ongoing war. He wrote about this in his Telegram channel, publishing an emotional message that has already gone viral. War fatigue is extreme. Even battle heroes believe that strategically nothing will change in principle, and it is time to end the mass slaughter of people on both sides, Kalashnikov wrote. In just 2 or 3 months, we may be talking about a 100-kilometer kill zone. That is, a zone of destruction on both sides of the front line. Evgeny Dicky, a veteran of the Russian-Ukrainian War, former company commander in the Aidar Battalion and director of the National Antarctic Scientific Center, spoke about this on the air of Radio NV. Answering a question about the development of drones and changes in the architecture of the front line, he noted that the current rate of technology obsolescence and its updating is about 2 to 3 months. In 2 or 3 months, each side develops something new that significantly affects the battlefield, and in 2 or 3 months, the other side develops a countermeasure. And so, constantly, step by step, this pursuit goes on. So it is very likely that in 2 or 3 months we will be talking about a 100-kilometer kill zone, said Dicky. The former commander did not rule out that we could be talking about an 80 to 100-kilometer kill zone on each side, and this will change absolutely everything, he noted. Dicky added that there are very serious signals. Our enemies are currently testing a completely new solution. In terms of hardware, it is similar to the familiar Lancets. It has a Lancet-like, so to speak, range of destruction, 80 to 100 kilometers deep into our territory, he said. However, the veteran noted, such a range of destruction does not frighten us because we have good means of electronic warfare, so we put down these drones. And there can be no talk of 100-kilometer optical fiber. But it seems that the Russians are now testing Lancet-type drones, but which firstly operate in a swarm and recognize each other by their colored wings. So, in fact, we can see that this is a new development, and besides, there is an integrated artificial intelligence which itself decides that this is a target. It must be attacked without an operator. And if decisions are made without an operator, then it means a communication channel is not needed. It means it is not vulnerable to electronic warfare, said Dicky. According to him, such things are prohibited in the West because from the point of view of artificial intelligence, a military truck and an ordinary civilian bus are no different. That's why in the West, there is this principle that the final decision to press the button should be made by a person, the veteran emphasized. He stressed that the Russians are absolutely indifferent if 9 of their drones hit civilian buses, and the 10th one just randomly hits a military truck. They are currently testing this technology. We are already looking for what to do with it, said Dicky, adding that if in 2 or 3 months we are talking about a 100-kilometer kill zone, both sides will have to restructure their logistics and control system.